Everyone thought we were the perfect couple, but behind closed doors, I was living with a narcissist. The sun beat down, hot and unforgiving. It felt like it was always watching, always judging. For me, a primary school teacher, every day was a performance. I would paint a smile on my face for my pupils, for my colleagues, and for the market women. But inside, there was a deep, cold ache. My marriage to Emeka, the man I once thought was my everything, has become a cage. Emeka was everything I thought I wanted. Tall, charming, with a laugh that could fill a room and eyes that promised forever. We met at a mutual friend's wedding, and it felt like destiny. He was a marketing executive, smooth-talking and ambitious. He showered me with gifts, whispered sweet nothings, and made me feel like the most cherished woman in the whole world. My family adored him. My friends envied me. Our wedding was the carnival of colors and laughter, a testament to what everyone believed was a perfect love story. At least something that I believed was to be a perfect story. I was Ada, soon to be Mrs. Emeka Okoro, stepping into a dream. Life lessons started early for me. I learned that love can make you blind, make you ignore the tiny cracks that show themselves even before the foundation is laid. There were moments, fleeting ones, before we got married. A sudden flash of anger when I disagreed with him, a possessive grip on my arm when another man simply said, "Hello." But I do brush them off. I'll say things like he's just passionate to cover up. He loves me so much. But now I know that I was so foolish. How foolish I was. The change was slow, like a creeping shadow. After the wedding, the grand gestures stopped. The sweet words become rare. And then, the first time, it was a small argument about dinner. I had cooked a porridge beans, his favorite, but he claimed it was too salty. My heart sank. I knew it wasn't. His voice, once so gentle, hardened. He raised his hands, not to hit me though, but he slammed it on the table beside my head. The plates rattled and I flinched, my heart hammering. He asked me, "Are you deaf?" I said it's too salty. "What kind of wife are you?" My eyes welled up. This wasn't the Emeka I married. This was a stranger, angry and unpredictable. I swallowed my tears, whispering an apology, even though I knew I had done nothing wrong. That night I cried into my pillow, wondering where my kind, loving husband had gone. It got worse. The verbal attacks became common. He would criticize my cooking, my clothes, even the way I walked. He would say things like, "Look at you, always so clumsy. No wonder you're just a primary school teacher." He would say it with a smirk. watching my face fall. His words chipped away at me, pieces by pieces, until I felt small, worthless. My confidence, once so strong, faded like an old paragraph with each word that he threw at me. With time, he started to control everything. He controlled my salary, my friends, even what time I should be back from work. He would ask certain questions like, "Why are you talking to that man?" He will always say this whenever he sees me talking with a male colleague. "Are you trying to disgrace me?" He will check my phone. He will accuse me of things that I never did, until I stopped talking to my friends as much. I stopped going out. It was easier to just stay home to avoid his anger. The physical abuse started subtly too. A shove, a forceful grip that left a bruise on my arm, hidden beneath my blouse. Then one night, after a heated argument about money he had wasted, he slapped me hard. My head snapped back and the sting was immediate, followed by a sneering shame. I looked at him, tears blurring my vision, expecting to see regret, sorrow. Instead, his face was cold, his eyes hard. He told me, "Maybe that will teach you to respect your husband." He spat at me and walked away, leaving me crumpled on the floor. I looked at myself in the mirror. My cheekbone was swollen, a pinkish bruise blooming beneath my skin. I couldn't go to school like this. I called Ngozi, telling her I was unwell, that I had a fever. She came over, worried. She then saw the bruises, her eyes widened, filled with terror and silent question. She asked me, "Ada, what happened?" I quickly made up a story. I made up a story from my friend. I told her that I fell. I tripped on the stairs, but she didn't believe me. I saw it in her eyes that she wasn't believing what I was saying, but she kept pushing. But I never went further than that, and she stopped. She just hugged me, her arms tight, and I felt, the unspoken comfort in her embrace. My secret was safe with her, at least for now. The pattern was set. After each outburst, each slap, Emeka would transform. He would become the charming man I first met, begging for forgiveness, showering me with apologies and promises. "Ada, my love, I don't know what came over me. This is what he will always tell me. I swear it won't happen again. I love you." And I, desperate for the man I married, would believe him, clinging to the hope that this time he truly meant it. But the cycle always repeated. The peace was always a lie, a temporary pause before the next storm. I became a master of hiding. Long sleeves, scarves, makeup. I learned to anticipate his mood, to walk on eggshells, to make myself small and invisible. The life lessons hammered into me were so brutal. It taught me that love can be twisted into control, and a home can actually become a prison, and that the person who promises to protect you can be the one who hurts you the most. One particularly bad day, after he had thrown my teaching materials across the room in a fit of rage, I felt completely broken. I sat in my small garden, tears streaming down my face, wishing for an escape, for a miracle. As the sun set, casting long shadows, I saw something. It was a small, vibrant blue butterfly, unlike any I had ever seen. Its wings shimmered with an almost unnatural light, and it landed gently on my outstretched hands. As it rested there, a warmth spread through me. A feeling of peace I hadn't felt in years, ever since I married Emeka. Then a soft, almost inaudible whisper brushed against my mind. Not with words, but with a feeling of courage, of hidden strength. It was so fleeting, like a forgotten dream. I blinked, and the butterfly fluttered away, disappearing into the twilight. And I asked myself, what is happening? Was I going mad, or was this a sign? This tiny magical moment was a spark, a tiny flicker of something more in my bleak reality. It reminded me of the old stories my grandmother used to say, of spirit and guidance, of hidden strength within. It felt like a message from a forgotten part of me, a part that believed in magic, a part that was still hopeful. Over the next few weeks, the blue butterfly would appear, sometimes in my garden, sometimes fluttering past my classroom window. But each time I felt that faint whisper of courage, that inexplicable warmth. It was a secret language, a silent promise that I wasn't entirely alone. This tiny flicker of fantasy in my harsh reality became my strength, my secret strength. It didn't solve my problems, but it reminded me that there was a beauty and maybe even power beyond the walls of my pain. It was a message that I am still Ada, the woman who deserves joy. The woman who deserved joy, not just the shell Emeka had created. The whispers from the butterfly seemed to grow bolder, pushing me, urging me, saying things like, find your voice, you deserve more. One evening, Emeka came home drunk, his eyes red and bloodshot. He started yelling, accusing me of wasting money on food, on myself. He picked up a ceramic vase, a gift from my mother, and threw it against the wall. It shattered into 1,000 pieces, and my heart broke with it. He raised his hands again, his face twisted with rage, but with this time, something snapped inside me. The whispers of the butterfly, the memory of the woman I used to be, it flared up. I looked at his hands, then at his cruel face, and for the first time in years, I saw him not as my husband, but as a monster. I said, no. My voice, once so timid, rang out, shaky but firm. No more. He froze, his hands still in the air, surprised by my sudden defiance. The surprise quickly turned into a sneer. What did you say, little teacher? Are you finally learning to talk back? That was what Emeka replied. He lunged forward, but I was faster. Fueled by a desperate surge of self-preservation, I ducked, grabbing the car keys from the table and running for the door. I could hear him roaring behind me, stumbling. I didn't look back. I just ran and got into my car. Tears streaming down my face, but this time they were tears of fear and defiance, not just sorrow. I drove straight to Ngozi's house, my hands shaking on the steering wheel. She opened the door. Her face worried, and I collapsed into her arms, sobbing uncontrollably. This time, I didn't hold anything back. I told her everything, the slaps, the words, the control, the broken vase, and the blue butterfly. She listened. her face growing grimmer with every word. And she replied and said, "Ada, my dear sister, what did you do? Why did you wait so long? Why did you hide this?" I looked at her, my eyes full of shame. I was so scared. I replied her. I told her that I was too scared because I loved him, and I kept hoping that he would change and that the man that I married would come back. Ngozi hugged me and told me that love is not supposed to hurt, that love is not fair, that what I experienced with Emeka was not love. That night, Ngozi helped me pack a small bag. She called my parents and explained to them that I needed time away. She didn't reveal the full truth, protecting me even then, but they understood the underlying message. Leaving that house, leaving Emeka, was the hardest thing I did ever do. The pain was so immense, a deep wound of disappointment and loss. I grieved, not just for the marriage, but for the dream I had clung to, for the person I thought Emeka was. It was a very painful life lesson that sometimes letting go of a broken dream is the only way to find yourself again. I filed for divorce. It was a messy public battle. Emeka fought it, trying to shame me, trying to blame me, but this time I had Ngozi by my side, and the faint, constant whisper of the blue butterfly in my heart. I found my voice, shaky at first, but growing stronger with each passing day. I told my story, not to the world, but to the judge, to my lawyer, and to myself. The divorce was granted, the paper was final, Emeka was out of my life, but the scars remain, etched deep into my soul. I lost the man I love, or so I thought. I lost the future I had imagined, but in that loss, I found something else. I found myself again. I found the quiet, gentle Ada, but now with a strength forged in fire, a wisdom born out of pain. Well, as of now, the sun still beats down hot and heavy, but now it feels different. It feels like possibility, like a new beginning. My heart still aches, some days more than the others. The memory of the bruises, the harsh words, they linger, but so does the memory of the blue butterfly. My tiny magical reminder that even in the darkest times, there is hope, there is strength, there is a path to healing.